So I was talking with a group of friends recently, and we were just talking about all the financial content out there. Yet most people are still at least like 50, 60% don't have $500 for an emergency fund or in a savings account. And we were just wondering if there's so much financial content out there, why are so many people still lost and just not in good financial situations? So that's kind of why I wanted to make this video. This is kind of the idea of this video. Have you ever thought, why does it feel like everyone is giving financial advice, but so many people are still broke, confused, and just anxious about money? And I don't think being anxious about money is a bad thing. I think I'm still always kind of anxious, like I'm always kind of very, very cautious when I spend money, or I'm very aware when I'm spending money. Like I always tie it to like the hourly rate that I currently make, or just kind of looking at it like, well, how many hours do I need to work to pay this off? Like how many hours of work is worth this product? Um, so it's just an interesting environment we live in. And I'm not here to bash anybody giving financial advice at all. I mean, I'm sort of doing it myself, so it really wouldn't make much sense there. Um, but I really just wanted to talk about why just advice doesn't really seem to be working for everybody. And then, kind of just give a little bit of my own experience being overwhelmed early on and kind of how I'm combating that currently. So, just kind of to dive into my personal story a little bit, kind of when I started getting my finances in order, how I did it. The biggest thing I did, I'm the type of person where, like, if I don't know an answer to something but I'm curious, I will at least do my due diligence and try to do some form of research on it. And especially with the help of AI nowadays, it's it's just lazy if you don't utilize the resources we have right now. So with the help of AI, especially ChatGPT, I have so many tabs of just random questions I ask ChatGPT, whether it be financial, life advice. Like if I stumble across something, I'm like, I've heard of that, but I'm not really sure what it is, what it entails. I'll ChatGPT it. YouTube is the king of content, I feel. Especially if I have a question on ChatGPT and I would want someone to better explain it to me or have like more of that visual. I will resort to YouTube, whether it be like financial tips, investment tips, strategies, um, projects that I'm working on, whether it be work related or personal projects, like especially in technology, or just automation, or whatever the case may be. Um, but just to some people, maybe none of that really stuck or made sense at first. But I feel at least attempt to do that first before you just kind of give up or say, oh, I mean, it's just not really for me. Um, and I also kind of, how I kind of got into budgeting and investing. I pretty much just really relied on, like, whether it be, I guess at the time, more YouTube, like what YouTubers recommended, or like if they recommended, or if they suggested, oh, like, hey, if you make this amount of money, you should be spending this amount in rent, utilities, food a month. This should save you a certain percentage. I think it was like an 80, or I think it's a 70/20/10 rule. I could have just completely butchered that, but just like a way to kind of break down what your monthly income is, to see like, okay, what are your necessities, like keeping the roof over your head, eating, utilities, water, electric, your wants, and then the rest you put into savings. So maybe looking at it like that, just kind of being able to break down your personal numbers and what you make a year, what you make a month, can really help you kind of stick to those financial goals. And then maybe you just felt that like there wasn't a right way, um, but you couldn't find it, or you really couldn't relate to it. I feel like just jump to different YouTubers. Like it may take you 15 YouTubers and you might not really click with the guy who gets hundreds of thousands of views. You may click with one of the smaller YouTubers who only gets a couple hundred views, couple thousand views. Like maybe just the way they explain something, your brain really picks up on. So I'd say don't limit yourself on just one or two YouTubers or just ChatGPT. Like definitely expose yourself, get different exposure to different content creators or different search outlets, and that I feel that really helped me develop the habit I have today and my overall knowledge on the just the investment world. So kind of back to the main problem I feel, there's a difference between information and understanding. A lot of content out there is just a info dump and info overload. There's just so much advice, it's hard to know where to start or what's actually relevant to you in your case right now. Um, Advice doesn't really account for, I think this especially ties to YouTube, ChatGPT, or like AI tools. I feel you can kind of customize what you put in there a little bit, but this mostly ties to like YouTube content. YouTubers, they tend not to really account for different income levels, whether you make 40,000 a year, 70,000 a year, 100,000 plus a year. Um, the overall like maybe cultural or family upbringing that you specifically were raised by, or the standards of how you were raised, whether maybe your parents lived paycheck to paycheck because they would just spend all of their extra money after they paid the bills. They splurged, they got you anything you wanted, or maybe your parents were like so gung ho, like, hey, we're gonna pay for our needs and everything else goes into savings. We don't account for our wants. We don't want to have fun, or we don't want to have as much fun. And then mental health. Maybe this could be a little bit from your upbringing, and maybe with that came your impulsive spending, lack of resources, maybe just overall your mental health towards money may not be the perfect area right now, but I mean that could be changed 100%. I feel especially nowadays everybody tries to hit the algorithm, the viral tips, and like I said, there might not really apply to you personally, and it's overall not necessarily a good or practical advice. It's just kind of like, oh wow, like hey, this is gonna draw in clicks, like oh do this, like oh buy crypto, or buy the meme coin, or whatever the case may be. And a lot of the content out there, it's cookie cutter, honestly. Like the go to is, oh, if you buy a $5 coffee every day for a week, that's $25 for a work week. You could have put $25, times four for a month. That's $100. You could have put $100 into ETFs, and just kind of maybe like those little things they harp too much on. And once again, it may not apply to someone who goes and buys coffee every day, or maybe that little bit people might think, what's the big deal? It's $100, like whatever. Like it keeps me, it gets me ready for the workday, or whatever the case may be, for that reason to get your coffee. So I guess overall, like what am I trying to get at? Like what's missing? I feel it's like a like mindset at work. Before you manage money, you really need to unlearn any bad money beliefs or habits you have. Beliefs could be like, oh, I'll never be good with money, or money's just stressful, or like saving money is just for the more advantaged people, the rich people. Behavioral habits, knowing what to do isn't the same as actually doing it. And I think that's where all the financial content kind of fails, but at one point it has to kind of come back to you. Like you have to be the ultimate decider of like your fate and like your investment situation. And then life context, like a broke college student versus someone with a salary job will need two totally different advice paths. And I feel that's where all this financial content fails us. Um, and then like where real financial education should start, in my opinion, like why money matters, how money works in the real world. Because at the end of the day, like a lot of people might say, oh, money doesn't bring happiness. I will agree with that to an extent. You know, money ultimately makes the world go around. It's how the real world works. And then finally, how to take small personal steps, not just broad suggestions, especially like in these videos where if they introduce like the 50/30/20 rule, kind of like I mentioned earlier, like 50% goes towards your needs, your rent, your car payment, your utilities, your food. 30% toward wants, like, oh man, like I really want to go to dinner with the missus tonight, or oh, I really want to buy that new video game console that's coming out. And then 20% will go towards your savings or investing. I feel that that broad strategy is just doesn't really apply to everybody in the real world, and I feel that's mostly where the financial content really does kind of start steering us away from what we're looking for there. What actually helped me, you know, I kind of a couple small things I finally started realizing moving forward. $20 a month, whether it's $20, $50, $100, is better than waiting to save that amount that maybe that YouTuber suggested. Uh, Learning that consistency is better than intensity. You know, you don't need to do everything overnight. You know, investing is not a short game. It's going to be for the long haul. You're going to be investing for the next 20, 30, 40 years of your life. So don't try to be super intense to start out. Like I said, just focus on that consistency, focus on that consistent investment on a monthly basis, and you're golden. Finding someone who can explain things in a way that makes sense to you, kind of like I mentioned towards the beginning of the video, like you may look up how to start investing for a newbie, for a beginner, and you may, the first couple of videos or recommendations, you might see the guys who have hundreds of thousands of subscribers, have hundreds of thousands of views, but maybe the way they display their information, even though it's going to be pretty much the same all around, like the information is pretty much the same wherever you go. It may just be the way they explain things that doesn't make sense to you or that you don't really click with. So feel free, like I said, like just explore all the different creators. There's hundreds of financial creators, you know, including myself a little bit. So like I said, just find someone who you really click with, who like kind of gets your situation or can explain your situation a little bit. And I feel like that's the way moving forward. And then, like I said, trial and error. You know, what you learned by doing versus just listening is a huge. It's going to make a big difference in your life. So just kind of keep that in mind. Real talk. Um, you don't need to be perfect. Just aware. You don't need to follow every trend, every viral tip on how to invest or how to be a millionaire by the age of 20, 30, 40, whatever. Just start where you are. Everyone starts in different positions. It's better to start today than just keep pushing it off till tomorrow, till next week, till next month, till next year. Encouragement, you know, it's okay to be behind. You know, most of us are figuring it out as we go. You know, everybody has a different path in life. Like it's not a one size fits all. So it's okay if you're behind right now. Just focus up, figure out what you got to do, and just kind of get that path going. And then it's not about knowing everything. I don't know everything. I wish I did, but you know that's just not reality. It's just about staying curious, staying consistent, and be willing to get out of your comfort zone and do more research on something, on a topic you're not sure about, you're confused about, and you know, don't be afraid to ask friends, family, or just coworkers or whoever you're comfortable with in your life. Just ask them, hey, you know, what are you doing like for investing? What are you doing for your retirement when it comes to that time? Be just like I said the biggest thing is be curious. Like don't ever think you know everything, or don't be afraid to ask questions. Is pretty much what I'm saying. So wrapping it up here, you know, if you've ever felt overwhelmed by financial content, drop a comment. You know, let's talk about it. If I can help you at all, that'd be great. If not, you know, maybe someone else will help, or like we'll do some research together and get you the answer. And then if you want comment what's one piece of advice that did stick with you from this video or that stuck with you that you learned a few years back, a few months back. Did it help you? Did it help you turn a corner? Did it help you kind of turn the page or maybe make you make a change in life that was needed? So once again, this is Lunch Table Vibes. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care. Bye.